let me show you what I just found out about Claude Cowork and where it stores memory and system instructions and then how it actually uses them. So I'm here in my project right here, and what I've done here, I'm using Cowork, which is the middle section here on the desktop app for Claude. You can use the chat or you can use the code also, but I'm using Cowork right now just for what I'm doing because it's a project that doesn't involve a lot of code. So what I've done here is gone over to projects, which is a new feature as of about a week ago, finally on the desktop app. I created a new project. It's this new Eamon's newsletter deal right here. And when I started this, I didn't have any system prompt or memory or anything, but what I wanted it to have was a little bit of context from where my newsletter and my personal brand and all the stuff that you don't really care about right now, but all this stuff that I've done for the past 3 years, I needed to be able to reference some of that, so I went over into ChatGPT where I had previously done some of this same type of work and said, hey, summarize everything that you know about me and my brand and give me like a concise little deal about it. Brought that over here, gave it some context, and basically in this chat was telling it, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm pivoting into, and I need you to help me make a system prompt so that future conversations in here can have some context, can have some memory built up about what my brand started out as well as what it is becoming. And ultimately what I'm going to be using this for is kind of brainstorming, idea dumping, sorting through the gazillion or so ideas and stuff that I've thought about up here in my brain and getting it in a more organized fashion so that I can actually produce content for this channel, for my newsletter, in a somewhat coherent fashion. So all that to say, found out some really neat things as I was doing this. So the first couple chats up here, I told it to ask me some questions, so I did kind of a long voice prompt and said, hey, at the end, ask me some questions about this. I want to monetize this. That's one thing that I'm not very good at. I make a ton of free content, but I don't really have any products, any big products that I can stand behind and kind of pitch to people who are just learning this stuff. So I want to do that as part of this so that this can be sustaining for the long term. So I asked it to ask me some questions, gave it some more answers down here. It's got a clear picture, and then it put together, first piece of information, this system prompt, which was decent. I'll edit this and add to it as time goes on, but it's a starting point. I said, okay, well, that's great. And then I noticed something over here in the context. Well, I now have context, not here, in the project itself, I now have some context from what it just did. So I didn't realize it would do this, but when I asked it to do that, it created this system prompt MD, which is stored on my computer, and I'll show you where in just a second. It's an actual markdown file that just gets stored for reference purposes. It does not get loaded into memory or into each project or into each chat like these memories do. It's more of a reference document for me, which was interesting because I wanted a system prompt specifically to be referenced by the chats that I continue in this project. So I asked it about that. I said, okay, tell me what the difference is. And the difference is, it's exactly that. So both of these, I've got 2 of them now, are just markdown files that are used for reference purposes. I suspect it could probably look in there if I said, hey, go look at the system prompt file, but I don't want to do with that. I just want it to do it automatically. What it did, though, from this system prompt file is it created these memory files. So these different pieces of the puzzle were part of what we discussed in the system prompt. And these do indeed get loaded into memory or into each chat's memory when I'm in this project talking about these things. So these are the really important pieces of information that you want to make sure that you have if you want it to be actively referencing and learning and adding to memory for a project. Kind of a long way to get to the main point of what I was trying to say, but I thought it was really interesting. You can see just this system prompt right here was exactly what it sped out, and it's quite a bit longer. And indeed, if I click open in VS Code, it'll take it a second, but it'll open in VS Code, and I'll show you in just a second that it's just a markdown file. That'll bring up the Finder where it lives on your computer, and you can see I've got these 2 markdown files on my computer. Opening these up in VS Code, it looks like this, and let's make it cleaned up so we can see the markdown version for our human eyes right here. and you can just see everything right here laid out really well, a lot more neatly than I would have done it myself. You know, it's got some details and stuff that are not exactly accurate. This should be 10,000 plus subscribers, not 15. Let's make sure to change that at all occurrences. Don't want to misrepresent ourselves too badly here. I think that was everything there. So I'm going to save that and X out of there. And then this project instructions, same deal. This is where this now lives. So these are the project instructions that we pasted right into here. And so if you do really desperately need to make it bigger and more readable, you can open the actual markdown file itself and go edit that in this way. Compare that to stuff like this, where it's just this brand pivot deal. And then let's open this in. Oh, it's doing my other window. If I open that, it's got this super long, like, reference field of where it lives on my computer in these weird file places that Claude has just created, I guess. Let's go back here and look at this memory. And so it's got this memory index at the top of those memories. So it's an internal indexing of what it's discussed, so it knows where to go and check in these files. Pretty cool how it does this, organizes it really well for itself to be able to access this stuff more easily. But that's the difference here. So make sure, and then again, I went back in here and I said, hey, so just let me get this straight. This is not, the system prompt is not getting loaded to memory. So I want to make sure everything in there gets loaded to memory. And in order to make that happen, you have two choices. One, it did not recommend this one, but one is to just copy and paste that full markdown file into the project instructions, which are right up here. So these are just manually entered things. So you can do edit and then dump in a bunch of stuff here. Incidentally, Anthropic, please fix this window so that we can actually resize it. Right now, and it's the same way on the web application, you can't resize this window, which is absolutely bonkers to me. So just make it a regular, resize this so I can see everything. So that's one option, is paste everything in here. The option it gave me actually was just, hey, would you like a shorter, concise version for the system instructions? It'd be better to have something a little bit more cleaned up for those, and that's what I did. So this is a summation of the original longer documentation only system prompt that it gave me. Very interesting how, and I wonder whether these things will change as time goes on, like how this is structured, how you can access it. Because, for instance, one thing over here in this project, I don't believe that there is a way, there's not a way to add a file to this. The only way you can add a file, like manually click file upload, you can choose folders here for context. You can set up scheduled tasks and instructions. But to add a file to the project itself for reference, you got to do that at project creation. So that's just side note, that's something missing. Anthropic, of course, you're watching this, so go ahead and take notes on that and get back to me, I'm sure. But yeah, and the edit details doesn't let you upload a file. So you can, of course, upload files individually to the chats, but you couldn't do it unless you're creating a new project to add it to the project as a whole. Anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. If you like stuff like this, check out my free newsletter down below. We talk about AI strategy and automations for normal people in modern businesses. It's free. Hope you'll come join me there. Have a great one. Talk to you later.